welcome to another episode of Jacob's House of Rock. And today I just wanted to make a little video talking about Neil Peart, or Peart. I think that's the correct pronunciation actually. As most of you know, he passed away pretty recently of brain cancer. I think it's been about 2 weeks at the time of recording since he did. I found out about it maybe a week after that, so I've known for quite a while, and it has really bummed me out, and I just felt that I needed to make a video about this. Being as huge a Rush fan as I am and have been for a long time, and the news was just really shocking and really crushed me. And even, I never personally knew him, and it has been a little while since finding out. It's still like I still feel the weight of it, and yeah, that's just why I want to talk about it. Recently we have lost some, amazing people and musicians from some really great bands and stuff like that. So who comes to mind just at the top of my head would be David Bowie. Was probably the other one who really affected me uh, quite a lot, and there was also Aretha Franklin, but there have been others. But Neil Peart, or Peart, is one of those ones that, yeah, really hits home hard. Uh, Rush to me has been one of those bands that I've always loved. They've been a huge inspiration on my playing, mostly in terms of my bass playing. Not that my bass playing is anywhere near that level. It's actually quite mediocre, but I am very passionate about it regardless, and I'm just passionate about music in general, and one of the bands that I love the most has and always will be Rush, and Neil Peart is a huge element of that, a real, just a driving force in that band. Not only has, a drummer and one of the greatest drummers of all time, but as a fantastic lyricist and as just a great guy. So this has really been rough. All the people in Rush are just, they seem like wonderful, fantastic people, and it really comes through in their music and in the lyrics written there, and in the interviews, especially. I've recently been watching a lot of interviews with the guys in Rush, and especially Neil Peart, and it really just brings home how kind of tragic this is, especially watching some stuff, some very recent interviews from the R40 tour or there around, which was so recent, and he was so full of life and ready to do new things and all this sort of stuff, even though he just, what was the word, resigned from drumming at that point. It's still, like, Rush has always been one of those bands right at the top of my list that I have to see live. I've even pondered, like, oh man, when they were last touring, like, I was even thinking, oh, maybe I should fly to America and try and get one of those tours and see them live. But as somebody who doesn't have a job currently or then, and is just, struggling on the other side of the planet, it wasn't feasible at all. But damn, I'm so devastated that I didn't, go that extra couple of hundreds of miles, because now I'll never get that chance, and a lot of fans will never get that chance, and that even when he resigned from the band, there was still always hope. I was still just happy that he was out there doing his thing, and to have died so young, at least by modern standards. I mean, luckily he's not one of the 27 club or anything like that, because that would have been really tragic. We would have missed out on some of the most amazing music that Rush put out in the last couple of decades. But yeah, this still hits really close to home. Neil Peart, he's just a really interesting person. What I've really loved about him is he always broke that typical sort of rock drummer stereotype, where the stereotype of them being the dumb drunk person who just bangs on a drum kit. The man was like a well-oiled machine at his craft, and whenever I listen to him in interviews, it's so inspiring. There's so much, commitment to his work and to really doing the best that he physically could, and that was always just so amazing. Um, you go through his history, and there's so much just really interesting stuff there, and also really tragic stuff. In the 90s, he lost both his daughter and his wife. I think his daughter was probably a car accident, and his wife to cancer, if I remember that in the correct order. And after that, he just had a breakdown, and his other major hobby was motorbike riding, because he was never a big fan of flying. So he'd motorbike across the country or the country being America, because I think that's primarily where Rush toured. And it's probably one of the reasons that they never toured Australia, or at least not in the time that I was alive or aware of them, which is kind of tragic to me at least. But yeah, he would take his motorbike and ride across the country, and that's how he would tour. So after that happened, there was a big hiatus in Rush during that time, and he sort of traveled across the country and had lots of experiences and adventures, and learnt about the different places and wrote books and stuff like that. So he was always very busy. Um, Another fantastic thing, another really inspiring story about him is, I don't remember, I think this was before the Test for Echo album. He completely reinvented his drumming playing from the ground up. He learned from a guy called Freddie Gruger, I think is how you pronounce it. I was trying to find the guy, like, after he talked about this guy, but all I could find was Freddie Krueger. So that didn't. So I'm still not exactly sure who the guy was, but Neil, when at the time, I think this was also near the 90s or something like that, but at the time he was already known as and regarded as one of the greatest drummers of all time. His technical skill was second to none, but he wanted more feel. So after he worked on some projects, I think forgot the name of the projects, but they were like doing some covers of some other jazz drummer stuff. And he met some people there, and he realized that some of them were drumming really well and stuff like that, and he asked them how they developed that, and he came across this teacher, and yeah, he just spent like a year or two completely rebuilding his own drum style, and it's just so inspiring to see somebody at his level still willing to learn, and to learn like wholeheartedly and so drastically. So that was something really amazing about him as well. Also, back in the 70s, he had one of the best mustaches around. So it was also kind of sad to see that go in later on. But he wore a cool beanie thing in recent years. So I guess he's still up there in style in his own way. Or at least he was up until recently. Mm. Um, so yeah, aside from all of that interesting stuff, like I brought up, he was the lyricist of Rush, and I know Rush has this strange reputation where they're known as this like sort of cult weird band, but for the people who really love it, they know that the lyrics are just fantastic, and nobody writes like Neil. The One of my favorite things about Rush has always been their lyrics and their storytelling. My favorite Rush songs are the ones that tell stories, like Red Bacheta, 2112. These are just amazing songs. And of course, there are well, not millions, but hundreds of other amazing ones from Rush. And particularly for Neil's lyrics, the ones that really get personal that I love, such as Limelight and Subdivisions and those sort of ones that really hit home. And oh geez, it's just really sad, guys. And like, I'm not a drummer. I'm not even that great at the instruments that I do play, even though I do love playing them and always seek to get better. Partly is inspired by Neil and Rush as a whole. So I can't really speak in detail about his drumming or anything like that, or as deeply as I would like, but I know there are others that definitely can, but I think I speak for everyone in the, rock prog fan community that, this has been a really tough and shocking thing to have happened, and so I want to send out my condolences to Neil's family, first and foremost, the other members of Rush, Getty and Alex. They must be. I haven't even bed to try and find like their initial statements or anything about this, because I bet people have been hounding them about that since this. I just don't have the heart to witness that as of yet, so I don't know what they've said about it or anything like that, but I know that they would be absolutely devastated because they have been um, close friends in this band for 40 odd years now, so yeah. But I also extend my condolences, aside from those people, to anyone else who Neil Peart has touched, both musically, lyrically, or just through meeting him and hearing his interviews or anything like that, and to all of you guys. And so that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I've got the comment section all down there open. So if any of you guys want to talk about any experiences you've had with him or his music, or any way he's touched your lives or anything like that, then I'd really appreciate that in the comments below. And yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys, but to Neil, wherever you are, keep on rocking. You've you did special things, man, wherever you are. I hope there's some way that'll reach you. But to everyone else, peace out, and yeah, see you guys later.